Gentlemen, I want you to take a moment and truly imagine waking up tomorrow morning with the kind of firmness and confidence you haven't felt in years, perhaps even decades. We are talking about a natural, robust awakening of your body's own capabilities, achieved without any pills, without any pumps, and certainly without any risky or invasive treatments. Instead, this is just about using your own two hands and dedicating a few minutes of your day to simple, precise, and targeted stimulation designed specifically to wake up your body's innate and natural erection mechanism. I am Dr. Lucy Stone, a practicing urologist with well over a decade of dedicated experience focused on helping men just like you reclaim their sexual vitality and overall confidence. And today, right here, I am going to personally show you 3 very specific and powerful pressure points located on your manhood and the immediate surrounding area that, when stimulated correctly, can play a significant role in helping to restore those morning erections you might be missing. This works primarily by improving crucial blood flow, by relaxing the right muscles, and by substantially boosting nerve responsiveness throughout the entire region. Now, if you have been genuinely missing that automatic, almost thoughtless morning rise, I really need you to stay with me here and pay close attention, because by the time you reach the end of this detailed explanation, you will know exactly where these powerful points are located, you will understand precisely how to stimulate them safely and effectively, and you will learn how often you need to do it in order to achieve real, tangible, and lasting results for yourself. However, before we even get into the specific where and the how, it is absolutely essential that you first understand the underlying why this entire process works so effectively. Because once you truly grasp the basic science behind it all, you will quickly come to realize that you are not just randomly pressing on skin. You are actually tapping directly into one of the most powerful and intricate systems within the entire male body. It is critical to understand that erections are not at all random or merely mechanical events. On the contrary, they are in fact the very sophisticated result of a carefully coordinated dance, a complex interplay between your brain, your spinal cord, your blood vessels, your countless nerves, and your various muscles, all working in a perfect, harmonious concert to produce that desired result. To break it down simply, it all begins with those tiny, almost instantaneous nerve signals. Think of them as minuscule electrical messages that travel throughout your body at literal lightning speed, originating either from your brain or from your local sensory receptors, and then racing directly toward your erectile tissue. Upon arrival, those critical signals immediately tell the smooth muscles that reside inside the penis to relax fully, which in turn allows a rich, oxygenated supply of blood to rush in and fill the spongy, expandable chambers known as the corpora cavernosa. As these chambers continue to fill and expand, the veins that would normally drain blood away from the area become gently compressed, effectively trapping all that vital blood inside, and thereby creating that familiar and satisfying firmness we all know. Now, here is precisely where the natural process of aging begins to change the entire game for so many men. Over time, the countless blood vessels located throughout your pelvic region can gradually stiffen and lose their elasticity. This is largely due to reduced flexibility in the arterial walls, a process that is often accelerated by years of general wear and tear, by mild but chronic inflammation, or by underlying health conditions like high blood pressure. At the very same time, overall nerve conduction can begin to slow down noticeably, which simply means that those all-important electrical messages originating from your brain or from your local sensory receptors do not travel as quickly or as strongly as they once did during your younger years. This double hit, comprising both sluggish circulation and noticeably weaker nerve signals, is undeniably one of the main reasons why those reliable morning erections inevitably start to fade, particularly once a man reaches his 50s or 60s. This is exactly why targeted pressure point stimulation can be so remarkably effective. It works primarily because it sends an immediate and powerful wake-up call directly through your nervous system. When you press or massage these specific points with intention, you're actively activating dense clusters of sensory nerve endings that feed directly into reflex pathways, which are intrinsically linked to erection control. Importantly, these triggered signals do not just stay local. They travel swiftly to the pelvic nerve plexus and can even journey up to the sacral region of the spinal cord, which is essentially the area that houses the body's central erection control center. This entire process then triggers a beneficial chain reaction. The nervous system promptly tells the smooth muscle within the penis to relax, it instructs the arteries to widen significantly, and it encourages the blood to flow much more freely and abundantly than before. But the incredible benefits certainly do not stop there. Some of these targeted points also have a very direct influence on the pelvic floor muscles, which are the hammock-like muscles responsible for supporting the penis during an erection and for helping to control ejaculation. By stimulating these areas correctly, you can actually improve their overall tone and their responsiveness, which in turn makes it significantly easier to maintain firmness once you have successfully achieved it. This is precisely why the effect of thoughtful pressure point work is often twofold. It can genuinely help to initiate erections more easily and spontaneously, and it can also help you to hold onto them for a longer, more satisfying duration. When you press or massage the right spots with consistency, you are essentially bypassing some of the age-related slowdowns and giving your entire erection system a direct hands-on boost. A good way to think of it is like resetting a slightly outdated computer. You're clearing out the lag, you're refreshing the signal, and you're allowing the hardware and software to work together smoothly and efficiently once again. When done regularly and with proper technique, this specific type of stimulation can actually help to retrain your erectile reflexes, it can improve vascular flexibility over time, and it can even enhance nerve sensitivity throughout the entire area. Now, the first point we're going to target together is called the base groove, and it sits conveniently right at the very root of your manhood. It's the exact spot where the shaft meets the broader pubic area. To find it accurately, simply run your fingers gently along the underside of the shaft, moving toward your body. You will likely notice a slight groove or a subtle indentation there, almost like a natural hinge point where the erectile tissue naturally blends into the deeper structures that are anchored firmly within the pelvis. This particular area might feel subtly different from the rest of the shaft, perhaps slightly firmer to the touch or a bit more textured, and that's entirely because it's a crucial meeting point of several important anatomical structures. So why does this specific spot matter so incredibly much? Well, just beneath the surface of your skin here lies an extra dense network of sensory nerve endings, including essential branches of the dorsal nerve of the penis, along with some key blood vessel junctions that feed directly into the erectile chambers. You can think of it as a central control hub where signals from both your nervous system and your vascular system converge and interact. When you apply gentle but very deliberate circular motions to the base groove, you are sending two incredibly important messages to your body. First, you're telling your blood vessels quite clearly to open up and let more flow through, which naturally boosts overall circulation. Second, you're telling your nerve fibers to wake up and get ready to transmit signals far more efficiently. This powerful combination works to prime the erectile tissue, readying it to respond more quickly and effectively when those arousal signals eventually arrive, whether that happens to be first thing in the morning or later on in the day.
Here is exactly how to do it correctly and safely. Position your thumb directly over the base groove while using your other fingers to cradle the back of the shaft for added support and stability. Begin with a moderate amount of pressure, enough to definitely feel the tissue beneath your thumb, but never, ever to the point of any actual pain or significant discomfort. Make small, slow, and deliberate circles, allowing the natural warmth of your touch to gently spread through the entire area. As you continue to work, you can gradually increase the firmness of your pressure, particularly if you feel the tissue beneath beginning to soften and relax more fully. You might even begin to notice a pleasant warmth developing, a settled tingling sensation, or perhaps even a sense of fullness starting to build. Those are all excellent sensations, and they are your body's way of telling you that blood flow is increasing and that your erectile tissue is becoming more responsive and alive. If you do not feel very much at all during the first few attempts, please do not worry or get discouraged. Consistency with this practice is absolutely key. Over time, daily practice will certainly heighten sensitivity in this area and make the results far more noticeable and satisfying. For the very best results, I highly recommend working on the base groove daily, ideally in the morning right before you even get out of bed, when your body is still naturally relaxed and receptive. Taking a warm shower is another perfect time to do this, as the heat will have already softened your tissues and improved blood flow somewhat. Over the course of several weeks, this simple but precise technique can genuinely help to retrain your erectile reflexes, thereby helping to restore those strong, dependable morning erections you may have thought were lost forever. Now, the second point we are going to focus on is not actually located on the shaft itself, but rather in a slightly hidden and often completely neglected area known as the perineum. This is that soft, slightly springy patch of tissue located directly between the scrotum and the anus. A great many men overlook it entirely, never realizing its potential. But in terms of overall erection strength and control, it is nothing short of an absolute powerhouse. Why is that? Well, because it sits directly above the bulbospongiosus muscle, which is a key player in maintaining firmness once you finally become aroused. The bulbospongiosus muscle is one of the main muscles within your pelvic floor, and it is primarily responsible for trapping blood inside the penis during an erection. You can think of it as a natural internal clamp that works to keep blood from escaping too quickly, thereby preserving your firmness. Over time, and especially with advancing age, this crucial muscle can weaken considerably if it is not actively engaged and exercised, which inevitably makes it much harder to maintain strong, reliable erections. By applying targeted pressure and massage to this perineal spot, you can reflexively activate this muscle, essentially giving it a beneficial workout without even having to do a full set of Kegel exercises. To locate it accurately, you can either sit in a comfortable chair or lie back on your bed with your knees slightly bent and apart. Using 2 fingers, usually your index and middle finger work best for this, press gently but firmly into the very center of the perineum. You are not aiming to push hard enough to cause any discomfort, but just enough to feel the underlying muscle respond to your touch. Then, move your fingers in slow, very deliberate circles, making sure to stay centered in that sweet spot. As you continue to massage the area, you may begin to notice some subtle sensations building, perhaps a gentle warmth that seems to radiate toward your penis, or maybe even a faint pulsing sensation as blood flow improves to the entire region. That is simply your pelvic muscles waking up and your circulation responding positively to the stimulation. Spend a good 2 to 3 minutes here, always keeping your touch steady and controlled throughout. For an added boost in effectiveness, you might consider pairing this massage with some light pelvic floor exercises, like Kegels, either immediately before or after the session. This powerful combination does not just help in the immediate moment, it actually trains the muscle to contract more powerfully during moments of arousal, which will make your erections feel fuller and far more dependable over time. The perineum may be largely out of sight for most men, but when it comes to genuinely restoring morning vitality and strength, it should certainly never be out of mind. Now, the third and final point we will cover is located at one of the most sensitive regions of the entire male anatomy, which is right beneath the head of the penis. This area is known as the glans, and more specifically, we are targeting the ring-like ridge where the glans meets the shaft, which is called the corona. This particular area is packed with an incredibly dense concentration of sensory nerve endings. These nerves are your body's main messengers for sending urgent arousal signals directly to the spinal cord's erection center. When this specific spot is stimulated with the right balance of pressure and rhythm, it can significantly heighten nerve responsiveness, thereby making it considerably easier to transition from mere arousal to a full, sustainable erection. It's almost like tuning up your body's innate arousal circuitry so that it responds more efficiently and effectively when the time finally comes. However, it is important to note that this point works best when the stimulation is controlled and moderate. Too much intensity here can actually overwhelm the nerves and, unfortunately, have the opposite of the intended effect. To work this area correctly, gently take hold of your manhood with your thumb and forefinger, positioning them carefully on either side of the corona. Lightly pinch the ridge and hold that position for about 5 seconds, and then slowly release. Repeat this hold and release action for roughly 1 full minute, making absolutely sure to keep the pressure firm but always comfortable. After completing that, switch to making slow, gentle circular motions around the entire circumference of the corona, letting your fingers glide just enough to stimulate the nerve endings without causing any friction or irritation. This second minute of circular work helps to wake up the sensory pathways even more, thereby encouraging faster and more reliable signal transmission between the penis and the brain. Over time and consistent and careful stimulation of the glans ring in this moderate, rhythmic way can lead to stronger and more frequent morning erections. You may also begin to notice a marked improvement in overall sensitivity during intimacy, which can make arousal feel much more natural and wonderfully spontaneous. Remember, the goal here is not about overwhelming the nerves, it's about gently reconditioning them to respond the way they did in your younger, more vibrant years. Think of it as providing a daily reminder to your body of how good optimal blood flow and perfect nerve coordination are supposed to feel on a regular basis. The very best results tend to happen when you treat these 3 points not as isolated tricks, but rather as interconnected parts of a single intentional routine. Here is the sequence I personally recommend to my own patients for maximum benefit and efficiency. Begin with the base groove for about 90 seconds, making those small, steady, circular motions until you feel the area become warm and responsive. Then shift your attention to the perineal spot for a full 2 minutes, pressing and massaging in slow, deliberate circles to activate the pelvic floor and encourage deeper, more robust circulation. Finally, finish with the glans ring for another 2 minutes, using that specific hold and release technique followed by those gentle circular strokes to reawaken nerve sensitivity and responsiveness. When done back-to-back in the sequence, this routine works to stimulate blood flow, engage crucial muscle support, and sharpen essential nerve communication, which are all the key elements needed for achieving firmer, more reliable morning erections over time. Now, I do want to take a moment to set the right expectations from the outset. This is not a magic button that will transform everything overnight. Your body will need some time to adapt, to retrain those blood vessels, muscles, and nerves to work together seamlessly again. However, many of my patients do start noticing subtle but truly encouraging changes within just 2 to 4 weeks of consistent practice. Things like improved warmth and fullness in the mornings, erections that last a little bit longer than before, and a general feeling of increased vitality and awareness in the entire pelvic area. For truly lasting improvements, I strongly advise pairing this daily pressure point routine with other healthy lifestyle habits that support overall wellness. Staying well hydrated throughout the day, for example, keeps your blood volume and circulation operating at their very best. Keeping your pelvic floor strong with dedicated exercises like Kegels will only add to the firmness and staying power you will notice from this technique. And let's not underestimate the profound power of good nutrition. Eating a balanced diet rich in essential nutrients supports every system in your body, including your sexual health. When you make these simple steps part of your daily rhythm, the benefits truly begin to multiply. The points become more responsive, overall circulation improves noticeably, and your body gradually begins to remember how to perform the way it once did naturally. It is all about creating a supportive internal environment where strong, natural erections can happen more easily and reliably, and doing it all in a way that is completely safe, entirely drug-free, and fully within your own control. Gentlemen, the important thing to remember is that you do not have to simply accept weaker or disappearing morning erections as an inevitable, normal part of aging. Your body still has the innate ability to respond and perform. It just needs the right kind of stimulation and ongoing support to do so.
By pressing these 3 specific points daily with care and consistency, you can actively retrain your nerves, restore healthy circulation, and bring back that morning confidence and vitality without ever relying on drugs or undergoing risky procedures. If you found this information helpful, I encourage you to make it a dedicated part of your daily routine, and please feel free to let me know how it works out for you personally. And always remember, your sexual health is ultimately a reflection of your overall health. Therefore, every positive step you take toward achieving better circulation and improved muscle tone will undoubtedly pay off not just in the bedroom, but in your overall quality of life and well-being for years to come.